bravery, and we are what we think. As a man thinks, so he is. The Bible, Proverbs 23, verse 7. Our experience of life comes down to one thing: what we think about. How we interpret events in our lives, the meaning we apply to the words that others say, what we do or fail to do, how we are treated, the things that happen to us, the expectations set by society, advertising, acceptance or lack of by our peer group, whether we feel loved by significant people in our lives, what we achieve, what we fail to achieve, the amount of money we have, our personality, our education level, how we feel about what we look like, and other things all dictate how we experience the world and our level of satisfaction, peace, and happiness. It is reasonable to assume, therefore, that we can change our level of peace and happiness even when we cannot change the circumstances, simply by changing the meaning we apply to those things that we cannot change. If we have toxic people in our lives, it is right to safeguard ourselves from them as far as possible, but sometimes it's not possible to remove ourselves completely from them. So what then? If we change how we interpret their behaviour, we can change how we feel about it, and in turn change how content and fulfilled we feel. So, for example, if we have a toxic boss who gossips about us, slanders us to other colleagues, goes out of their way to give us work shortly before we're due to finish, and demands we stay and finish it, is openly rude and disrespectful, instigates disrespect from others towards us, then the best course of action would be to find other work. Sometimes that's not possible though, at least in the short term. Finding other suitable work can take time, and you have to continue where you are if you need to pay the bills and keep a roof over your head and provide for your family. So the way to deal with it is to change the meaning you apply to each situation. It's good to ask yourself first if there's any truth in the criticism, and if there is, make changes. Even if that's true, it doesn't make it okay that you're treated like that. If not, look at each of the things in turn that happen and analyse the meaning you've given it. Your boss often gives you work just as you're about to leave and says you have to stay to finish it. You think your boss has it in for you, most likely true given the other behaviour. You think you cannot refuse to do the work, probably not true. If you believe that is true, then you probably also believe that you will lose your job. Fear. You will lose your home. Fear. You will lose your car. Fear. You might lose your partner, access to your kids, your friends, your health, status, more fear. You could assert yourself and say that you cannot stay, and that you will do it in the morning. Sometimes standing up to a bully makes them respect you. Not if they're a narcissist, though. You could educate yourself on your legal rights and know what steps you can take to deal with your boss if they should try to fire you for not doing non-contracted overtime. You could make it clear that you cannot work beyond an agreed time in future and follow that up in writing. Leave at the agreed time, regardless, and take legal action if they subsequently fire you for it. These solutions all take bravery. This is the real issue. You're living from fear, not from bravery. You're giving your power away to others rather than taking ownership of the situation and taking control. Seeing that you can take ownership of a situation, even when that situation is the result of someone else's behaviour, puts the control back in your hands. It is a position of power. You can apply a new meaning to the situation and feel better about it and about yourself. You go from believing you are powerless to do anything to believing you have the power to feel differently about the situation and yourself. You can choose not to let the clown pitch their circus tent in your soul. So what if you had parents who never seemed to think you measured up, who treated you like a disappointment and constantly compared you unfavourably to others? Maybe now you're an adult, they still do this. Maybe you even have a sibling who can do no wrong, and maybe this sibling is part of the problem. Maybe they repeatedly made sure you got the blame for everything growing up, until your parents actually believed that you were always in trouble and untrustworthy. Maybe this sibling went out of their way to do bad things just so they could pin it on you, because they got pleasure out of seeing you get hurt and hated on by your parents. And maybe you could never stand up for yourself because you know that the evidence against you was so overwhelming you'd never be believed. So you lived your adult life trying to please and failing because everything you did was interpreted as coming from a completely different place of intention. Nothing is ever good enough or right. What then? You could just wait, hoping against hope that one day they will love you and see the truth. It won't happen. You need to free yourself from needing that approval now. You could walk away and try to make it through life without a family to go back to. Quite honestly, that's not a bad option in some cases. So what can you do? You can take practical steps to put distance between you and your family. You can set your phone to voicemail when they phone. If you don't have the strength to deal with it then, deal with it later. You are aware that their behaviour is based on lies, but it still hurts. So what is the meaning you've given this situation? Maybe you think you need their love. Why? If they all died tomorrow, how would you feel? Relieved? If so, you don't need their love at all. If life would be less painful if they weren't around, then you need nothing from them. Maybe the onslaught of emotional abuse was overwhelming, with everyone around you being tainted by the lies. Everyone has been gossiped to about you, and everyone treats you weirdly as a result, expecting to find a horrible person and confused by the person you seem to be because you're not what they expected from what they'd been told. Maybe you're in a constant state of anxiety about what everybody you meet is thinking of you, as you have an inkling that they've probably been lied to. And maybe the meaning you've given to this is that no one will ever like you. Maybe you've even been told this. Maybe you've applied the meaning that if no one likes you, then you have no value. You have to change the meaning you've placed on all this. You already know you are not the person that everyone seems to believe you are. You have to know that what they think doesn't matter and you can choose to walk away. You have to know that being family does not give them ownership over you, does not give them the right to mistreat you, does not give them the right to control you. You can walk away. You can choose to be the person you know yourself to be, calmly, without needing to correct or justify. It's their game. You don't have to play. If they don't believe what they see, let them have their own opinions. What they think of you is not your problem. If others choose to judge you by the lies they've been told, then that is their character defect, not yours. You are free to choose to be you. You don't need to accept the judgments of others about you. They are not in your brain. You know your motives, they don't. Contradict them by being you, not fighting with words. Contradict them by moving on and not allowing them to keep you trapped, using you as their narcissistic supply. Align with the bigger part of you. Find your love in the bigger part of you. Find your support in the bigger part of you. Find your belonging in the bigger part of you. Find your strength in the bigger part of you. Every resource you need is found inside yourself, in the vastness of the bigger part of you, not in toxic family members. When you find your resourcefulness within, you can feel compassion for them and love them safely from a distance, without them getting anywhere near your soul.